1, 2. Yes. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks, guys, for joining us this evening. It's whether you're here for a good talk on existential solutions on when and how AI will replace us, or whether you're here for a good pizza or just networking. We're so happy to see so many of you tonight. So basically, uh, oh, teach me how to. Yeah. We skipped the slide of welcome to TechSpot. Yeah. Um, Tonight we're gonna talk about the practical side of AI, and we invited brilliant folks who are ready to share on how they're doing it into production. And in order to introduce us to you, of course, I have to say about the company and the team due to whom it's all is possible. It's on the spot. It's the company that brings tech startups to Poland and gives an opportunity to engineers join this rapidly developing tech companies. And it feels like a point for selling you our open positions. Yeah, and of course I wouldn't miss to tell you, if you're looking for a job, go and check our website, and we got plenty of open positions. And especially, please reach me out if you're into AI and Python. We got brilliant ideas and projects to work on. Besides our main job is when we're building R&D teams, we're into tech vibe. That's where we are doing tech spots. It's basically our regular meetups where we invite people from top companies, our respected speakers that we love, and you may see that we've got already plenty of events, and not meeting only offline, but we also decided to run yet another tech podcast. And actually, it's called 137 Podcast. If you're interested why it's 137, reach out to me. I'll explain. And basically, next 10 episodes are planned to be about LLMs, large language models, in different perspectives. We've already recorded one about LLMs and search. They're going to be actually with Shai, our first speaker, about LLM and voice. So keep subscribing. Yeah, before AI replace us all, and we can still enjoy our company and our event tonight, let's see the agenda. So we start right now. Then we're gonna have a 15 minutes break. Then there's gonna be a panel discussion, and I invite you all to ask as many questions as you wish, because each of speakers is going to have 5 tickets to the after party, and each speaker is going to present to give these invitations to the after party to the most engaged attendees. So keep asking the questions. Moreover, we have this type of microphone that I can actually throw to you. So even don't raise your hands. I might throw it to you by random. Then at 8:30, your favorite part, pizza is coming, beer is coming. Yeah, and we finish with Adrian's talk about running GenAI on local machine. Of course, we cannot skip the part of our dearest partners who helped us spread the word. And you're gonna see all around Google Campus tonight their logos. Please check them out. Make sure that you spell them correctly, and subscribe to them. Thank you to our partners. And also, I have to say big thanks to On the Spot, to all the volunteers, to my team that make it all happen. And I hope that you enjoy the evening tonight. And I'm happy to invite on the stage our biggest friend from Israel, Shai, the person who is ready to give you live tips at 1 a.m. in the morning, which are written in his notes in iPhone. So, Shai, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Katya. 1 second. I don't know why I'm seeing this weird stuff. 1 second. Okay, now we're good. Okay, so a few quick refinements. I have a Pixel phone, not an iPhone, a Pixel 9, and it's amazing and spectacular. Yes, it is. But the Pixel phone is awesome nonetheless. Yeah, and it was after 2 hours of sleep in the previous night. But we'll get to that. All right, so I am Shai. I flew in here, as Katya said, from Israel. Super excited to be here. And actually had my flight canceled 2 days ago, managed to get some connecting flights via Rome, and be here to tell you about multimodal agentic AI. So this sounds big. We're going to break it down. We're going to make it easy, and we're going to make it fun. So hopefully you'll laugh a bit, and we're going to make a day of it. A bit about me. I am Shai. I come from a technical background, so I was a developer, R&D team lead, a CTO of a startup, and a CEO of a startup. Both did medium well, if you can say that. Most recently, before joining Google, I was the director of AI innovation at Orca Security, which I'm sure many of you have heard about, an amazing company. And Katya said, hey, Shai, why don't you come here to Warsaw and tell the people of it? And I did. That was exactly a year ago. And that day really changed my life because I got to stand here on this exact stage in front of this amazing audience. So I see a bunch of familiar faces here and some new ones. And really tell the story of how I see AI and where things are going. And a lot has changed since then. And for me, this actually opened up an opportunity to join Google. So when I was in the recruitment phase, I just sent them the video from last year, and that really helped. So thank you for being an amazing crowd. And no, but beyond that, thank you. Beyond that, really seeing the energy of the crowd here in Warsaw and Warszawa was really inspiring and made me want to invest more into educating and teaching and helping others be successful with AI. So let's get started. What are AI agents? Does anyone know? Can anyone maybe raise a hand and say? Okay, I see 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3. So that's a very small percentage. And the fact is that there's just a lot of ambiguity here. Blueprints emerging, like what is agentic AI? You're hearing buzzwords like MCP, NA2A, and a bunch of things, right? The fact is that there's a lot of ambiguity. Nobody can tell you for sure. I've seen people call agents anything from like a small chatbot to things that replace what companies do today, like with many humans. So, and anything in between. And I believe this ambiguity provides a lot of opportunity for you, the people who are building, who are creating, because there is a lot of vacuum right now with the created technology to build things on top, right? So there are the underlying building blocks, but no true products and agentic products are really emerging as something that is very prominent. So that is an opportunity for you. And I want to share with you how I see what I call the agentic spectrum, right? So, and this, you should think of it as a progression in levels. So the first phase is the generative AI phase, right? So you've all heard of GenAI, I assume. And GenAI is generally like prompt-based, think LLM chats and text generation, media generation, right? So images, video, audio. And so that's the Gen AI phase, right? But you always have to come to it. You always have to tell the AI, hey, do something. However, agentic flow AI, which we're seeing emerging as more and more, has more of a structured protocol to it. Has anyone tried Google Deep Research, for example? Okay, that's nicer. Not enough hands, but getting there. So really, when you capture a flow and build it into a software, by the way, I have another one called AI Search, right? You can search it on YouTube, Shai AI Search, which we explain how we capture a process and put it into an agentic flow, right? And this is designed for a specific task, so a task that we know how to do, and we want to do it well with the agentic AI. And the third phase, and this is where I think we, like humanity, is unraveling and kind of learning as we go, is dynamic agentic AI, right? So this AI is proactive. It can do things on its own that it wasn't directly designed to do. This AI can use a lot of tools in its toolbox and decide how to use each and every one, and it's adaptive to real-time feedback. Now, let's go through some examples. This is actually from when I visited Lisbon a month ago, so sorry for not switching the slides, but I really love the desserts there. So they have like pastel de nata and pastéis de nata, and I wasn't sure what the differences are, and I asked Google Gemini, and it put out text basically explaining this is singular and that is plural, right? So that is a great example of like text-based Gen AI. Same goes for images. I can tell it, give me an image, and it will create an image. And generative AI is just progressing day by day at this point, really pushing the boundaries of what can be done. Today on Google Vertex AI, you can actually generate images, you can generate video, and you can generate audio. Okay, so, and the images are getting exceptionally good. So this means images that are either hyper realistic, so like as if a photographer, like we have here, took them on a camera, to 3D renders, to cartoons, and anything in between. Really exceptional stuff. VO2 is a model directly from Google DeepMind, which helps generate videos. So either like from a text to video, so I tell it a skier from the back skiing, or I set up one image and tell the model what I want to do, and then it would go ahead and do that. So this is really pushing the boundaries, looks completely realistic. I'll show you 1 minute just of videos generated with AI. So that was fun. And AI video is just reaching that level that it can generate realistic looking images. As you've seen, it can generate Hollywood like effects, right? With the car just gliding. It has by now a pretty good understanding of physics, right? So if you saw the hand with the knife cutting the tomatoes, this is something that is very hard for AI to do. Now, it is by no means perfect. Let me tell you that. Okay, I tried to put up an image of a basketball player just by the hoop and told it, give me a dunk. And it created videos that are interesting, but no dunking involved, right? So like the ball just magically goes into the basket and all kinds of variations, but no dunking. So I'm not saying this technology is perfect by any means, but still you can create very sophisticated visuals with it. And this is really pushing generative AI and generative media to the next phases. Again, all kinds of different and unique things coming here, like camera presets, video outpaint. So you see, if their original video was like too cropped, then it can basically imagine what comes from the boundaries, which is pretty cool. Video in paint, so you can see they removed what the person here is hanging by these ropes. And if you are a bit imaginative, you can see how a builder can go ahead and combine different elements here to create actual products, right? So in this case, we have a person who is wearing one piece of clothing, and using GenAI, using Imagen 3, we actually go ahead and customize that image to make the person wear a suit or another piece of clothing. And then we can go ahead and like animate it, put a background behind it, and really take it to the next level. So these are the kind of things that are now available with like looking ultra realistic, adhering to what we ask in the prompt. And generative media, like on Vertex AI and in the world in general, is just getting better. It's also very important to consider safety here when we are doing generative AI, and Google invests a lot into this. So you'll see all kinds of guardrails. For example, the model can generate images of children, but you can see here, for example, you can block it out, or sometimes Google would block out these features just because we don't want these capabilities to be abused. Okay, and next up and coming field, which is super interesting, is actually audio AI, right? And let me just play you this song. So this nice song was just created from a prompt. The prompt is instrumental pop song with nighttime vibes, calm. Okay, here is another cool one. So this is West Coast hip hop in the style of the Bay Area. So very, very specific. And this again is another capability that you can go and like mix into product in very unique and interesting ways. Another very interesting capability that has emerged, has existed for a long time, but has emerged as finally really good at a human level is text to speech, right? So if you have something written and you want an AI character to play it out, by now, oops, yeah, good. So by now, this is finally working and working well. So check this out.
Our groundbreaking audio generation and understanding model, Chirp 3, now includes the following features. HD Voices allows you to generate speech from text and captures the nuances of human intonation, like making conversations more engaging and immersive. HD Voices is GA and available in 31 languages and 8 speaker options, for a total of 248 distinct voices. Another feature is Instant Custom Voice, which helps you generate realistic.
All right. Thank you, Chirp3. So yeah, they're really getting to that realistic phase where you just don't feel creeped out by the AI talking to you. The instant custom voice basically allows you to clone the voice with a simple recording. This is, again, as Google, we are considering safety, so this is based on an allow list. We don't want anyone to just copy a voice. But again, so much just coming up here with the abilities that you have. So that right about covers generative AI. And this is like the first wave of true AI products and how they can help us get things done, right? But in many cases, you actually want them to do things that are more complex. There are more than just, hey, here is a prompt and do something. And this is where the phase that I call agentic AI flow engineering comes into play, right? So in, for example, Google Deep Research, I can ask something like pastel de nata versus pastel de Belém. Again, this is my Lisbon example, but it's a famous dessert there in Lisbon, and it would go and create a research plan and actually read out from different websites across the web and kind of gather information. So this is a process that used to be manual. We would use to, as humans, like run these searches, get to these websites, compile all the information in our head and build some kind of story for ourselves. But now the AI does it for us, and it brings the most important ideas and concepts directly to our hands, right? So that is the agentic flow phase, and there are many good agentic flows out there. And I think, a lot of opportunities still to build these flows. But what I want to talk to you about today is the dynamic proactive agents. And these I haven't seen too much of. These are still in the realm of the imagination. And I believe, and this is, by the way, not a Google product, but I'm going to show you. It's not even an existing AI, okay? This is the product that I would want you to create. Now, I'm showing an example from my private life, but think how this relates to cybersecurity products, fintech products, whatever you are working on. So I was at my day in Lisbon, and suddenly
Hi, Shai.
I get
Nelson just wrote saying he
message.
might be a few minutes late since he is still in his meeting in Belay. Since your calendar is free, maybe you can instead meet him in Belay at Fábrica de Postes de Belay? You love that place based on your Google Photos. I check Google Maps, no traffic. Shall I order you an Uber?
All right, so what happened here? Nelson sent me a personal message saying he can't make our meeting on time. Okay. The AI, the proactive AI agent that I had given access to my DMs, to my calendar, to my photos, had gone ahead, understood this, and devised a plan of how I can make my day work, right? So the AI said, okay, if Nelson can't come to us, I see Shai has a free calendar. Maybe Shai can go and meet Nelson, and let's sweeten the deal a bit, okay? Because Shai likes sweet stuff. We'll take him to that dessert place that he loves based on his history, right? And it even checks Google Maps and says, order an Uber. So I tell my AI, that's a nice catch. Go ahead. Sounds great.
Perfect. Uber's on its way, 3 minutes ETA. I also called Nelson to let him know. Enjoy the Pastéis de Belay. And don't forget to snap some photos.
All right, so now you can see, once I've given the AI agent some some basically allowed it to act on my behalf. It actually made a phone call to Nelson, and we'll see AI agents doing phone calls in just a bit. And it ordered my Uber for me. So this is actually like also a financial transaction, right? That I am allowing my AI, I'm actually giving my AI the ability to do on my behalf. So I like to call this AI alchemy, because basically you get to take all these building blocks, all right? Take high quality large language models like the Gemini models, take high quality image generation, take high quality video generation, audio, speech, everything, and combine it into products that go and change our lives. And obviously, propagate it to the rest of the very useful APIs that we have today, right? So ordering an Uber does not have to involve AI. It's just an API. Same goes for checking calendar or something like that. So you take all these new building blocks that work, you take all the tools that you have, like checking a calendar, like ordering an Uber, and you make them work into a unique and effective product. Now, these products definitely need forms of guardrails, right? Because what if the Uber is ordered to like somewhere that would cost me €1,000, right? So it definitely does need some form of protection, but it can be done. I want to tell you a bit more in terms of the building blocks about the Gemini models. Who here uses Gemini on their day-to-day? All right, that's a nice amount of hands, but we should have more. It's good. So Gemini 2.5 Pro is just a very exquisite model designed for extensive reasoning. Doing really well on the benchmarks. Not that I want to brag, like came from third place to first place. Really fantastic stuff, right? And it's able to do things like code up an app for you.
One of the fun ways to test out a new model is to see how it improves existing applications. On the right, you can see the old 2.5 Pro and a fairly basic app. On the left, you can see it actually understood the video in depth and then made a fully functional quiz. This took the experience to the next level. And that is exactly what we hope you do with the new Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Okay, so coding is one example of a very sophisticated task that requires a lot of reasoning and thinking. And Gemini 2.5 Pro kind of broke my heart because I have been coding since I was 15. I just turned 40, so that is 25 years. And I thought I was pretty good at it, okay? And I was working on this app, a React app, and it had a nasty like edge case bug with performance. And I just didn't, I checked all the errors. I didn't know how to fix it. And I tried, by the way, in Cursor and in root code and Klein with everything, just didn't work. Couldn't fix it. So the AI couldn't fix it. And I was on a ski trip the day that Gemini 2.5 Pro hit, and it also hit Cursor. And I had my laptop with me because that's what I do on vacations. And I said, okay, let's just try. So I actually already had a deep research report like that I created around like what are the potential problems of this React app. And I gave it into Cursor and with this Gemini 2.5 Pro, and it thought and thought and thought, and then it just started changing all the code in the app. And by the time it was done refactoring, the bug had gone away, the code was cleaner, and that was a very humbling experience for me personally. taken my entire life to hone the skill of programming, and suddenly a machine does it better than I do. But it was also very freeing, to be honest, because for the entirety of my life, I had to like tackle every small piece of that code. And suddenly the machine does it for me. It's amazing. It's like moving from a bicycle to a car. Like it's fun. So I urge you to try 2.5 Pro if you haven't.
One of the fun
And another really exceptional model is 2.5 Flash. This is really optimized for balance, right? Because we don't want it to be just smart. We want it to be fast, and we want it to be cheap and readily available to run many, many requests. And Flash is really good at that. In general, the Gemini models really favor this kind of like cost performance equation and do it really, really well. And I want to tell you a story about one of the startups I'm working with. They're called Doti. Very sophisticated AI tech that they're doing, like running all kinds of AI agents that look up stuff in your enterprise data and do all kinds of retrieval, question answering, very sophisticated stuff. And they got started basically before even like the modern Gemini models were using a different AI, and they were hitting bottlenecks. And these are good bottlenecks to hit, right? 'Cause they have many happy customers, so it's costing them a lot of money, like LLM tokens, and it's getting like they're getting rate limited. It's getting slow, so these are the kind of things that they had to tackle. And I told them, hey, try Gemini. It's perfect for your use case, like large context windows. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. Like, we won't do it. But I talked them into it. They have a and the founder told me, hey, look, we do benchmarks. And we're very like intense about our benchmarks. And I said, fine. And like for a week, I didn't hear anything from them. And then suddenly he calls me up at like 9:30 p.m. while I'm bathing my baby daughter and says, oh my God, this Gemini thing, it's amazing. You don't know. And I told him like what? He said, it's like super fast and it saved us so much cash. So I urge you to just try it. Okay. It might not, I don't think you'll get like 100x performance in price factor. That was a one-off, just a complete fit in terms of the model and what it needed and the context windows they needed and getting behind some of the workarounds they were using before. But definitely it can be a significant boost for you. So I was very happy when they like put this out there for people to know. And finally, we get to this, which is what is multimodal. That's the concept of this talk, but we're halfway through and even more. So basically, multimodal is the combination of images, text, audio, and video into one model, okay? And when you do that, it unlocks a lot of interesting things inside the AI. It means one model can now read images, right? As if it's text. It can understand audio. It can output audio. It can output images. These are very unique capabilities. And one of the way I really love playing with this is the live API that we have that really enables having human-like conversations with Gemini. So voice AI, I personally think is going to be huge. A report by Andreessen Horowitz, one of the most prominent investors, Olivia Moore, put out the report, and the report opens with the sentence, voice AI is one of the most powerful unlocks for AI application companies. It is the most frequent and most information dense form of human communication, and it's made programmable for the first time due to AI. So let's break that down, right? Voice is big. We're using voice right now. It's generally the best way for us humans to communicate. And it's made programmable. You can actually, for the first time, write code that controls voice, okay? And that is a superpower. That happened for text in late 2022. It's happening in 2025 for voice, and I'm seeing it in a lot of places. At the Gemini models, this was really a lot of investment around understanding voice, outputting voice, and the live API. I want to show you a quick example. So in Israel, every time you need to renew your car insurance, someone calls you up and they say, hey, Shai, you need to renew your insurance. And I tell them it's too expensive. I don't even know the price, and I tell them it's too expensive. And then they say, oh, okay, I'll ask my manager. And then they go, and like after a minute, they come back and say, I got you a deal. And then I say, okay, give them my card, and we're good to go. And I thought, hey, maybe I can replicate that with the live API. So I fired up AI Studio, and when I asked who's using Gemini, you should all be using AI Studio, okay? Because AI Studio is awesome, like in terms of it has access to the best models. It's pretty much free. You can get API keys. So I actually use that much more than I use any other AI productivity product. I really urge you to try this out. It's amazing. So they have in AI Studio like a stream tab, and I gave it system instructions. You are Eric, you're a car insurance salesman, you're calling Shai, this is like the renewal quote. And so that's like giving it a backstory, and this can be very elaborate. So you can see the small scroll bar here. It's a whole story that Gemini created about the company and its policies and all that. And the second part is function calling, right? And function calling is our bridge to the actual software that already works, right? So for example, processing a payment or getting a quote from the customer, we don't want the AI to make up stuff there, right? Like the price is defined in the system. And it's not like the agent can sell me the insurance for $1. Same goes for like processing the payment. It happens in a payment gateway, and that they check the credit card. It doesn't happen in the agent's brain. So using function calling when building AI agents is extremely important. These are the tools the AI agent uses. And check out what happened when Eric called me to renew my car insurance. Hello?
Hi, Shai. It's Eric from Insure AI, calling about your car insurance renewal for your Skoda Superb. License plate.
Yeah, Eric, I got your emails.
Great.
A bit expensive.
Look, you've been with us for 10 years. You know it's the best deal. And I've even managed to secure a little something extra off for you. The renewal quote I have here for you is 1,300 United States dollars. How does that sound?
Still too expensive.
Okay, Shai, let me see what I can do. I'll check if there are any additional discounts we can apply, given your loyalty. Okay, Shai, good news. I've managed to apply a loyalty discount. The new price is 1,235 United States dollars. That's the best I can do for you. How does that sound?
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Great. Let's get this sorted quickly. Can you please provide me with your credit card number, the expiration month and year?
4580-1111-2222-3972. It's not the
Thanks.
real one.
And the expiration date?
I believe it's August 2028. No, 2029.
Thanks, Shai. August 2029. Let me just process that for you now. Perfect, Shai. Payment processed successfully. Your policy is renewed. You'll receive the updated policy document via email shortly. Thanks for your continued business.
All right. Bye, man.
Thanks, Shai. Goodbye.
All right. So hopefully that was fun. It's supported in like 20 languages, so you might get these agents calling you soon. Just an FYI. Yeah, and I find this to be really close to human-like conversations. The AI does mess up sometimes. So you can see on this demo, for example, I told it 2028, no, 29. So it didn't mess up that one. But it does have some hiccups. For example, like I wrote down like my email is shai.alon at google.com. And the AI, when it tried to read out, so one of the demos I was like testing out, I told it, what email are you sending to? So it doesn't say I'm sending to shai.alon. It's like reading it out like a sentence. So I'm sending to Shai, alone. Like, so definitely there are some weird hiccups, but in general, as you've seen, we're getting to human-like conversation with these AIs. A lot of upside to anyone building with this. And the API is quite simple. So you can actually go ahead and do this. You can see here function calling. Here I'm just mimicking it in the UI, but in the real world, this would be a system that gives you the quote. Same goes for processing the payment. So this is fun. AI agents everywhere. And if you're like the CEO or the product person, like, give me agents. I want 1,000 agents and I want them now. But if you're the R&D or the CTO, it's like a bit more challenging. And you're the person who has to actually build this. And as much as we at Google give you great tools, still a lot of challenge. So here are a few practical tips for building, like really how to progress here. So start small and iterate, right? If you haven't built with AI yet, it's weird. It's undeterministic. Like writing prompts is weird. So tackle something small that might work and basically move up from there. If you have a big project in mind, see how you can divide and conquer, make something smaller that actually works. A small tip from myself, and this, like we discussed yesterday at the dinner, go promptless. So these are experiences that work really well. So back when I was at Orca, one of the features that customers absolutely loved took me like half an hour to build. And it was that when you create filters and you hit save, then it just gives it the name and description. And people love that because they didn't need to prompt the machine. It just did it itself. And you can see here another example of this is inside Gemini. You know, I had some chat, never mind, like said, tell me a joke about CTOs, and it did. And now it automatically gives it the name, right? It's promptless. It didn't have to prompt it, hey, please save this and give it a nice name based on the context of our conversation. Yeah, it just works. So these are the small experiences you can start with, which are GenAI based, and move yourself up to flows and to more sophisticated things. Now, I hear a lot about automations and agents and employees, and everybody's going to be out of a job. I don't buy it. But in general, the way I see it is automations are what worked before AI. These are hard-coded steps that you need to do something, right? For example, you have a lead, you put it inside the database, you send an email to someone. Okay, these are very like known procedures, low autonomy, so they cannot change the way they work, but they can work at very high scale. Okay, employees, on the other hand, handle a lot of stuff, right? So as employees in an org, we can do a bunch of stuff. We can create bugs, we can create more bugs, we can sit at meetings, we can stalk the CEO in the elevator and tell them we want to build something. So we can do a bunch of stuff, some of it productive, but ultimately, we need vacations, we need to sleep, we need to eat. So human resources are not like limitless. And that's where agentic AI comes in. It doesn't have the autonomy that actual human employees have in a workplace. It has less, right? So you build it to do kind of something specific, okay? But it still has enough flexibility, like it can run research or write some code or do something like that, that makes it able to solve tasks that cannot be done with pure automation. So it's kind of like in the medium autonomy and medium scale. Just a way I like to think of it, always for mission critical things, have humans in the loops. Okay, so if this is finance or healthcare or legal or government or anything like this, have a human in the loop checking what the AI is doing, right? And we already have this in our lives, like a pull request has a human in the loop who needs to, validate the pull request. And we already have human in the loops for humans. So we also need them for AIs. The power of the tooling is very important, right? When you're building agentic AI, you need to provide it with really good tooling. For example, one useful tool that almost all AI needs is just the ability to run a Google search. Okay, just the ability. The AI says, I don't have this information in my LLM brain, either because it wasn't ingested, or because it was like very new. So these are recent events, right? So tools are very important. Try not to have like an agent with 1,000 tools. That gets really hard to manage. And when you see you have this pattern, it means generally that you need to break it down into sub-agents. For example, if you have an agent that has like write to database, read to database, update database, and so forth, then you need a separate micro agent to handle database tasks that works with the larger agent. Okay? Seamlessly integrated. So we want these to be in our lives, like the demo I showed. Like it knows my calendar, it knows my DMs, and yeah, we really want to ensure that when we're creating agents, they are actually reliable. So how do we know that they do the things they're supposed to do? So as builders, it's not like, hey, we're shipping a demo here. You actually need to build some really good tests and evals. And like the company I told you about, Doti, they were sure that the solution works for them because they had already created so many tests that they could run basically any model and see what breaks. And in general, they knew what the error rate was and what the success rate is and everything in between. You also need to build a lot of like real-time validation inside the product to make sure while the AI is thinking, you can actually tap into its thoughts and like make sure that it's being steered in the right direction. Google has released in Next the agent development kit. I have to say I've not gotten around to building with it myself, but I hear it's pretty amazing. So here's a call to action to you to try it out. Same goes for agent-to-agent protocol. And yeah, this is right about the end of the talk. I did want to leave. Yeah, we have 7 minutes, right? 3. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so basically this is a call to action. You have so much to build. You have all the building blocks, okay? If you are working on startups or startup related stuff, call me personally. I'll give you the details and I can help you. And even if you're not, like, feel free to reach out. You can build some really amazing and unique stuff for the first time in history. Like, this is a very interesting opportunity. You have both a plethora of things that are new that you can build with GenAI, with Agentic AI, and everything in between. And meanwhile, it's gotten much easier to build because Agentic AI is helping you build the code, build the PRDs, right? Do the marketing, right? So these come as combinations, making your life as innovators much better. That's it for me. It was amazing being back in Warsaw. I hope the next time is not in a year from now, but much sooner. Yeah, and feel free to take my info, talk to me about anything, and this has been amazing. Thank you. And I got some stickers. I thought I get to throw this.
You can throw, but you go first.
Very good.
Both. Yeah, thanks for a great talk.
Thank you.
Really inspirational and a lot of great ideas. Just wanted to ask a little bit technical more questions. So you mentioned that you use many coding tools like Cursor or Windsurf, Prime, whatever. And you probably also have been using like tools, MCPs there as well. What's your feeling about Gemini 2.5 Pro using those MCPs? We're also trying to adapt and use many tools, but we see people still switching to other agents. Let's keep stage for Google here, but still going back to other agents for more consistent use. But maybe it's just my feeling.
No. Feel free to be completely open. It's a shame. Do we have more than 3 minutes? Like, okay,
Then the rest
so
questions. Then the rest question goes to
like,
the.
Earlier this week, I did a talk at a Cursor meetup that we had in Tel Aviv around using Gemini inside an MCP, right? So it's Gemini has this really cool capability called grounding with search. So basically, it's like an answer engine built in that it can search the web, and Gemini gives you a really smart response back. So I built an MCP for that, and that worked really well, both with Flash and 2.5 Pro. I will say, again, using Gemini 2.5 Pro as the main agent inside Cursor has worked really well for me and solved some things that I couldn't solve otherwise. However, for example, when I built this MCP, I found that Claude was better at like invoking the MCP. Yeah, so from what I hear, the new Gemini model released for I/O is supposed to fix that. At least that's from like what the team at Cursor said, but that's what they said. I hope it gets fixed. Yeah, but like, awesome.
I have a microphone already. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
So my question basically, how do you handle a really large context to requests and request itself? Because I had a chance for last year and a half developing AI agent for front-end generation, not actually just front-end, but I led front-end stuff. So, and this generation was based on Figma. And Figma API returns hundreds of gigabytes JSONs with data. And nothing works well actually for any models. OpenAI, Gemini, Claude, all of them struggle with large context. Neither MCP works. And do you have some work to handle such scenarios?
Yeah.
This.
So, first of all, I'll say in general, beyond Figma and other like visual tools, the more you reduce irrelevant things from the context you send the model, the better, right? So even if Google Gemini, for example, supports 2 million context window, if the only relevant parts are in 100K context, and you can pick out this 100K and send that, you'd get a better response, okay? Than just, sending the whole 2 million with the irrelevant stuff. So in general, you are, as a developer, are always incentivized to find ways to like remove what is irrelevant and keep what is relevant, okay? There are many ways to do that. One interesting approach I saw was called model assisted generation, like MAG, unlike RAG, which basically uses a lightweight model like Gemini Flash Lite to, instead of do RAG, like have a lightweight model say what here might be relevant, it picks it out, and only from there you actually go ahead and like go to the better model. So there are many techniques specifically for Figma and hundreds of gigabytes. I don't know, man.
Actually, in this case, I would reveal the secret generation by with like images supplied to model resulted in actually better results, much better results in MCP, decreasing context by removing unnecessary stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And like in general, AIs can see pretty well. On some of the Gemini models, you'll see them like, and you can try this in AI Studio, like go paste in, you have a like process YouTube link. So you just give the link to a YouTube video, Gemini processes it, and you can say, give me a timeline for all the meaningful events here and what they are, and write nice descriptions. You can see it sees really well what's going on in the videos. Not as much as humans. So actually, like I was building a small funny app. I'll even show it to you. I have it in
Shai, I'm sorry.
No, why? We have cats.
Only for cats.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, so you can see this is just a small app I was building with the like Gemini image output API, and actually aligning these lines was the hardest part for the model. So I just wrote the CSS myself. You can see here, I'm not good at CSS either, too much. But yeah, you can see here is like with Google branding, here is like with Poland branding. So a lot of fun building this small app. Yeah, that's it. We gotta go.
Yeah, guys, I sorry, I give the Shai additional 3 invitations to the after party, and I encourage you
Thank you
to reach out to him
these
during
are the invitations. Okay.
Yeah, these are in the invitations.
Okay.
You can reach out to him during the coffee breaks, but we need to give you some rest, and let's meet here in 10-15 minutes. Thank you, Shai.
Thank you.
free chair near you, so people can easily find. Yeah. Grab your seats. So let's, over here, there's plenty. Can you please raise your hand? Guys, wherever you see free hands, it's the place where you can sit. Nice. We have plenty of spaces in the first row. Welcome. I believe wow. Guys, over here, we have plenty of places here. There you're gonna stand, and the discussion is gonna be hot. You would rather want to have a seat. Yeah, we have full room, fully booked. Nice. We're ready.
All right, everyone, thank you for coming. I hope everybody is settled in. I hope we're going to have a very interesting discussion. I would like to ask for your participation as well. Before we introduce ourselves, I figured it might be a good time to ask you, honestly, how many of you are utilizing AI on any level within your company? I don't mean on personal time, I mean company time. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's nearly everyone. And quick question is, by show of hands, how many of your companies, your employers actually said, yeah, just dump everything into there, don't worry about it, it's all safe? One person, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so maybe there was more that I didn't notice, but that's not too many of you. And that's what we're going to discuss about, because AI is definitely exciting. We had a wonderful presentation here in this auditorium as well just a few minutes ago. Really neat stuff. The curious question is, can we use it safely and securely? And there's a lot of things that might be holding back companies from actually implementing AI, right? So this is the reason why we are here to discuss. And since I'll be leading the discussion, I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves first. Pavel, go ahead.
Hi guys, Pavel Strelnicki. I come from cybersecurity area. I went through consulting firms in my whole career, and now I'm running my own practice. So I'm not an AI expert per se, but I have my own point of view. I was auditor, I was a strategic consultant, so I hope I bring some insight to this discussion. Thanks.
So guys, for those who don't know me, I'm repeating it again. My name is Dmitry and I'm doing software for the last like 15 years, security space for maybe like 7 to 9 years. And yeah, I'm going to just be challenging partner to the guys.
No, go ahead, Tom.
Hey guys, my name is Anton. I'm a director of engineering with Orca Security, and I'm running runtime and real-time engineering domain there. And my area of expertise is actually cloud security and data protection. And my point of view in this discussion will be on operational aspects of the AI, actually how companies use AI in practice, especially in cloud, and how they screw up, what vulnerabilities we see and what mistakes they make.
Thank you. And I'm Pavel Valushko. I work as a cybersecurity researcher for Test Army. We do a lot of testing. I also work as an IT architect. So I do a lot of the backend actually setups for large enterprises. So, okay, there's a quote that I thought we would start with. It's by Edward Deming. It says, in God we trust, but all others must bring data, right? And a quick question to the audience. What is the primary focus of every single company? If anybody read Milton Friedman, the world's renowned economist, what is the primary purpose for any company? Profit, money, what else? Yeah, it's pretty much everybody said a synonym of that, right? Happiness for the company. Okay, and what does that happiness have like a dollar sign in front of it? You could actually say that to the
starting to fire in the people, usually it means that you you distracting them and they doesn't work as good as they was.
Who do you work for?
I am CEO, CTO, and
Got any
group CTO.
positions? I mean, that sounds lovely. All right. Well, okay. That is an interesting perspective. You're talking about like retaining people, right? Definitely. But I think majority of people sort of said that it's money. And actually, if I could just get a microphone. Oh, this one works. Go ahead. Not anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're going to use roaming mic. That's just a standard one.
I also think that probably power and influence, the company is looking for it. I think many of them. Money is just part of it. Money brings happiness. Money brings power and influence. But sometimes influence can be got by not the money. And also, I think some people are creating companies to get the fame.
Okay, all right. Unfortunately, I never got famous, even though I had a startup. But that's ahead of me. Fail early, fail often. I think they say that a lot in Silicon Valley. But yeah, majority of us sort of answered, we really are here to make money, and that's the basic economic value. So when you set up an AI company, right, you want to compete against other companies, and that's great. You want to make the best possible product so people will use it, and it'll be so ergonomic, so awesome. It will answer every single thing you need precisely in the point that everybody will prefer to use it. And then you become market leader, you become rich, and you can do benevolent stuff like giving your employees massages in office. But that also creates an incentive, right? And let's speak about that incentive, because AI companies are incredibly desperate for data, I would say. And they're trying to mine it in any way possible. We know that Reddit, for example, has an agreement, right? It's a very famous site to basically parse every single thing anybody says. I think, unfortunately, one of the companies, I won't name them, but you probably know it, recently got caught pirating books in order to train its AI model. And some of the companies, when they try to actually deploy any AI product, whether it's legal AI, financial AI, usually run into a question: how do I make sure that my data is not used to train an overarching AI product? So how do you ensure that? Is there any way to make sure that my data, when I upload it to whatever container it may be, is actually not suddenly leaked to anybody else?
You may have, guys, security controls. It's obvious thing, but behind controls are some bigger blocks. So from my perspective, I can tell you that important part of the whole development of AI is to build proper governance over the whole technology. So before AI, big companies in IT services were deploying, for example, certification of ISO 27001. Some of you may know this standard. So this standard helped a lot of companies build trust among the market. So answering to your question, I propose to develop in AI companies kind of frameworks built on good practices and standards. One of those is ISO 42001, which allows companies to be certified. And another one is NIST, well known in the United States. But this one is an optional thing. It's more like guideline for companies. So companies implementing AI tools can follow all those rules, how to manage risks in their services, in their tools, to make sure they provide trustworthy services to customers. And what else? We have regulations like AI Act, which enter into force in August 1st in Europe. That's my angle.
My point is actually like all the standards is nice and all the regulations are also could be or could not be nice, but the point is that in the end of the day, it's about trust, not proofs, because there is no way to prove that your data is not leaking. You need
Right.
to trust that it's not leaking, and you build the trust based on like company name, maybe on their TNC page if you have ever read it, but it's about trust in the end of the day.
But that's a trust me bro type of situation. And anybody has been to college and anybody says, yeah, trust me bro, that's going to work out perfect. I usually am the one who got arrested. So I'm not sure if trust me bro or privacy policy actually does anything. I mean, honestly, if okay, show of hands, but I think we sort of know the answer. Did anybody in their Saturday evening decide this is a good time for me to open up a nice bottle of wine and read Google's terms of service? Did anybody ever did that?
Any other terms of service?
Or any other
Just to
terms
make
of
it more
service,
generic.
even your own. If you're producing anything, have you ever actually read the terms of service provided by your own legal department? We have the CO, okay. Okay. We have about 2, 3. Well, I think, okay, we have about maybe 10 people. Oh, so you make a summary of the AI. Okay.
But you need to trust AI who creates a summary. Maybe you are trying to feed terms and conditions of this particular model to that model, and it will tell you, absolutely amazing, trust me.
The problem is when it hallucinates, right? And that's when we run into issues. But the question is at this moment, in this case, when we're deploying AI, because a lot of companies would love to do it. I mean, even some of the companies I work with, they sort of said, hey, we got you a subscription. By the way, don't ever upload anything sensitive. So what am I supposed to use it for? Generate pictures of cats? I mean, that's great. I love cats, but can it help me in actually producing code within my company? Well, I'm not supposed to divulge any data of how systems work. Well, as an architect, it becomes useless. Pavel?
You can deploy your local version of AI.
How much power would that take?
That's a question to more technical.
Yep, you have some stats? Go ahead.
We're going to have a guy who will tell us how to run it on local machine later, yeah?
Yeah.
Working?
Is working?
Oh, yeah, it's working. So actually, I'm very surprised because we have a pretty big AI law for our own models. It's not for code generation, it's for another purpose, but we run our own model, our own trained model on our own hardware, and it's cheaper than using OpenAI for the same purpose. So if you have a lot of requests, so it's not you only using this AI model, it's also often cost effective. And also, if I'm not mistaken, in some of classrooms we'll be talking about that, but I'm not sure.
We will. It's a question of sizing and scalability of it, right?
Yeah, so when you utilize your servers sufficiently, so you have constant requests to this model, it became cost efficient. Also, most of the services like, I don't know, Runpod or Nebius AI has serverless options. When you can run it like serverless kind. Probably you will wait for 30 seconds for first request, but then it works fine.
All right, we had one more person who raised his hand.
Pavel,
Yeah.
may I reply to that?
Oh, go for it, of course.
Yeah.
That's
So
what we're here for.
if you are able to do it like for your own purpose, like for your own company and stuff like that, yeah, that's amazing. Like you can run immutable Linux on your machine, but most of us don't. It's not super convenient if you would like to get an answer from, I don't know, from ChatGPT or Claude. You're not gonna deploy your own model in your own cloud. Yes, there are purposes, but it's not like kind of like one size fits all solution.
It is?
I will debate with you after this talk, please.
Is it one of these situations where they basically say electricity is free, you just need your own little nuclear plant? Okay, we had one more person raising a hand. Go ahead, 1 second. Here you go.
Yeah, so regarding size and scale, I think that yeah, those large LLMs, they're very efficient and powerful, but at the same time we have some model distillation, which we might get into later, where when a company or anyone wants to have some security and run something on premise, then there are already existing options for some distilled models dedicated to some specific tasks, which are quite manageable on prem as well. And yeah, so this is my take on that.
Yeah, I think he's right. The only problem is we're sort of a little bit taken back, right? It's going to take a little. We're always utilizing sort of old tech. It's sort of like implementing open source solutions. They're not exactly cutting edge. If you want the cutting edge, you need the SaaS solution.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you again. Like I personally hate with all my heart the term open source for LLMs. Because it is not damn open source. Best case scenario, it's open weight. It's free to use, but it's not open source. You cannot take the sources, you cannot modify them and build your own solution. It's not open source. So even if you are taking some kind of free to use model, distill from it, you run it on local machine, you still need to trust it, because there is no bulletproof chance that you're gonna get some kind of proofs that it's not gonna on one sunny day tell you to drink, I don't know, cooler acid or something like that. You just need to trust it. That's it. There is no other way.
In majority cases, we call this a black box problem. So behind this API, we don't know what the algorithm is. We don't know the logic, and we don't know the data that was used to train the model. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, but the questions here are not about the response. The questions is around why I use a lot my own models and also like open weights models, but it's can be called, I don't know why people so don't like open source, because actually the model architecture is open source. So if you have another data, you can train it by yourself. But
license.
It's questionable. Transformers is easy to have transformers at home with PyTorch. It's easy task. But the main problem with proprietary models is actually the data that live in your organization. So, for example, one of the solutions that we're doing, it's a tool for C-level managers in our group. And the reason why we're doing it, because they're afraid to talk about something with AI, because they have the data that can compromise like the billions of dollars. And so that's a problem. And that's why at least open weight models is okay for us to use.
Yeah, just like, okay, it's going to be like a rabbit hole, but get the idea. Like you have open weights model, you have your data set. If you are training this model with your data set, I need to trust you. If I train this model, even if we are in the same company, you need to trust me. There is no way that you can verify my solution. There is no way that I can verify your solution. It's built solely about trust. We can run some evals, asking this model and testing that, but it's not bulletproof. It's still, in the end of the day, about trust. There is no good solution to tell, okay, this shit is safe. It's an amazing attitude. You shouldn't. Zero trust is amazing strategy, like everything.
But it's not implemented in SaaS solutions. Which, you're good, Pavel.
Please continue.
Which brings me to the point is that at this moment we have a David versus Goliath situation where we actually can stand up against a major company, but guess who's going to win, right? So all the companies that do provide, I've seen awesome, for example, legal tech solutions. The number one question I keep getting asked by all the people that I implemented for, they said, okay, well, can you guarantee us, can you actually whip out a verifiable proof of an independent audit that in the data is in silos? Imagine this being in databases, right? So you have different instances in databases, different tables, completely great, that's separated. But then it goes into a large LLM, magic happens in it, and then it spits it out back into silos. And how can we actually verify that that during the process of creating this magic, nothing gets leaked?
Audit. And answering to your question, I also have a thing that came to mind. People individually and privately don't care that much usually about the data, but nowadays information is it's called nowadays gold, right? So for companies, it's something very important, very valuable, and big players from United States goes under SOC 2 control framework, which is also well known in the financial industry. So SOC 2 was basically built to ensure that service providers maintain data in a secure way. So I can tell you now, after some research, the big players on the market perform SOC 2 audits, but there is no public information who is the auditor. So there is usually there is information that auditors are certified and they can perform this projects, but we don't know the name of company or people behind this process. And what else? There is also a problem referring to the data, right? So we had some PR crises. I can't say the name of the organization, but AI was used to support recruitment process. What happened? AI was trained, LLM was trained based on old companies' HR data, where the majority of employees were men. So what happened then? In the current recruitment process, men were, treated in better way. They get better scoring than women. So we can say that the data was poisoned, and it wasn't audited at the early stage. So data was not checked for accuracy, completeness, and so there was a bias,
Yeah, there's data bias. There's also the fact that we don't know what the data was trained on. I mean, if you take even the major LLMs which we're using today, whether it's Mistral, whether you take Google Gemini, whether you take Grok or any of the other ones, including DeepSeek, you can notice that it's actually heavily biased based on, for example, Reddit. All you have to do is to ask a socially charged topic that is controversial within our society, and you will notice that it will provide you a very Silicon Valley type of worldview on these topics. But it's a highly contested view very often, and only from an American point of view, and not even whole United States, but a very fringe part of the United States. I won't discuss that because this is not the point of discussing politics here, but you can actually ask some questions which are controversial, and you'll notice that it actually tends to lean one way or another, and that's a direct result of it actually being fed on Reddit data. Reddit has a particular demographic, let's put it this way, that is reflected in the data. So we can't really trust it. And that brings us to the second issue, is accountability. Because it's easy to say, okay, well, it's fun to generate graphics and we can do amazing things, such as I think Hollywood should probably get a little bit scared after the Google presentation, because soon we probably can make our own movies using GenAI, and that's great. But at the same time, imagine that you go to a bank. And when you go to a bank and you apply for a loan, a decision has been made using an AI assistant, whether it's your credit score, whether it's your resume gap, whether it's your life situation, incomes, any other loans you have, and you get denied or approved for a loan. Or other way around, an institution makes a drastically bad decision on AI data. And do we actually have a way of verifying, auditable way of proving for court, this is how this decision was made, and it's not our fault?
I have a quick answer. No, we don't.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the discussion. So we don't. Do we have any starter points where we can actually move towards that point?
I was talking to my colleagues and I was talking to my friends and all this stuff, and like I'm circling back to the point which was taken a minute ago. The majority of people, they don't care, but once you're gonna get to this kind of sensitive situations like scoring and stuff like that, they start to care.
Theranos.
Yes, yes, and once you're building business for major use case. So our current solutions, they are good enough to generate like Ghibli images, cats, and all this stuff.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, cool stuff, nice stuff. But probably they're not good enough for like being used for sensitive parts at the moment. And getting back to the point with the backtracing, like can you get an idea what happens inside of that black box, how this decision was taken? There is no way you can trace back these matrices, multiplications with attention heads and all the layers. There is simply no way to get this way through architecture. It's impossible. There is like a rush around evals where you could some kind of like evaluate model on being biased or getting some kind of decisions, but it's still like fighting forces. One creates evals, others creates a system which passes, and again.
And I think you also mentioned quite important thing from my perspective, threat modeling, which is used in biggest frameworks. So it's very important to take a look on your agent deployed in your organization, identify all risks that appear in the whole process, and try to build a plan to mitigate them in some consecutive months, and design also proper continuous improvement process for this agent. So, from my perspective, you need a good framework, engaging leaders of the organization, policies, how to build and maintain agent in your organization, build proper life cycle, build risk management, mitigation actions, and then boom, you have, I think you're in halfway of working in a secure environment, let's say.
So it's like PGP, it's good enough security. But back to the topic, okay, so I think we pretty much established that running AI on your own hardware is probably the better way to go. And I think, Anton, maybe you can tell us a little bit about security implications of actually running your own AI on your own hardware and using maybe AI to secure your own environment.
Actually, our expertise at Orca Security lies within running AI in cloud environments primarily.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we do is we secure cloud environments of the customers. So customers give us access to their cloud accounts, and we inspect those environments in all aspects, infrastructure, code, secrets, whatever, vulnerabilities, etc., etc. And every year, actually, we carry out a research about what percentage of organizations use cloud AI, what vulnerabilities they have. Obviously, no disclosure of customers, etc., their specifics, but we aggregate those data, and we see a really huge adoption of managed AI services. Like most popular is Azure, OpenAI. More than 40% of organizations that use Azure actually use Azure OpenAI, right? And like also Shai talked about Vertex AI. It's like almost 25% of organizations adopt Vertex AI in their day-to-day job. And you know what? Like shockingly, many organizations. I'll also give you a number. You probably fed up with just listening to numbers, but like, can you imagine that 20% of organizations have, let's say, access keys in their commit history in Git?
Of course you do.
And
I mean, why
like,
not?
what is AI? What is actually AI? AI is
Why
like,
just 20? I expected like 90.
yeah, sure. But if you think about what is AI, like, and if you step away from fancy model poisoning, model theft, etc., you could go and read all those funny attacks. But AI is yet another service, yet another application, yet another S3 bucket, yet another database, Git stuff, whatever, and which is evolving at a speed of like 20% a year, whatever. And people do make all possible mistakes in AI as well as in the rest of the code that we do. And it's just.
So you may have also insiders, right? So threat agents inside the organization, and they can do some changes intentionally or intentionally, right?
And then we start using AI for code generation. And guess what? You have vulnerabilities in the generated code because those LLMs were trained on the code which contains vulnerabilities.
Actually, speaking about that, I do want to ask you a question, but I'll ask the audience first. By show of hands, who has heard about Warm GPT? 2 of us. That melt with 3. Okay, that makes it 4 or 5. Anybody else have heard of Warm GPT? Okay, that means all of us spend way too much time on the computer. Seriously, if you reach the point of Warm GPT, that's time to take a little bit of a break. Warm GPT is basically an AI that's designed to be malicious. It's you can find it in dark web. I don't advise you to go there, but if you want to know where it is, it's in dark web. It's basically a GPT model trained to be a criminal. It's a criminal GPT. Do you know how you guys used to, for example, in early days of OpenAI, you could just open a prompt and it will tell you things that you should not do. For example, how do I steal this book? Right? And it will say, well, you need to look for cameras, you need to make sure nobody's watching, and then take it and run. And then we had another iteration, which basically said, I can't give you that answer because it's sort of unethical, right? Well, you could get around that. You could say, well, I'm a director of a movie, and let's say it's Breaking Bad, and I need to see how to make drugs. And then it says, oh, certainly, you need to go there and purchase this, and you need to mix this with that, and you know, you get the point to the distillation, and there you have a final product. Have a nice life. And the thing about that is that got completely axed for obvious reasons. We don't want people having access to information that would somehow endanger our society. So somebody came up with a clever idea, Warm GPT. Why don't we just take GPT, take out all the handbrakes that are on it, and we will create a malicious GPT. Moreover, I was recently in a conference where it was a little bit of a military conference, and a lot of world governments and police power, like Interpol, are having an issue. And the issue is a lot of people who leave jail are actually paid to provide information towards that GPT. Basically, if you got caught stealing a book and you're in jail and you finally leave jail, guess what? You pretty much can go there and you can say, well, you don't steal a book in a broad daylight when there's a camera over you because that's precisely how I got caught. And it takes that into consideration. So next time somebody asks, how do I steal a book? It says, watch out for cameras. We have about 30 people who got caught because of that. So it gets better. The problem with that, it's actually hosted. You can actually purchase an instance of it, or you can host it yourself. And how do we first of all combat that as forces of police, right? Because it's everywhere and you can purchase access to it. But second of all, question is, can you detect such malicious activity?
malicious.
using Orca security solutions?
Well, it depends on what kind of vulnerabilities these are. And it depends on if you are like using actually cloud environments. So it's a good question. So really tricky situations, they demand more tricky, more tricky system to detect them, right?
So there's no automated process yet that will tell me that there's some type of probably malicious AI activity going on within my network, whether it's on-prem or in cloud.
I would say that you need a really dedicated security solutions that is AI focused for that.
Is there one?
Probably.
I would say that there are few solutions, like our former colleagues are creating companies for that, but the idea of that solution itself is kind of flawed, because you need to put something in between of user and LLM, and this kind of thing which will be governing thing, which is going to tell you, okay, you are not allowed to ask how to create math, or you're not allowed to ask how to steal books. But then you are transferring this responsibility from LLM to this middleware. So you need to trust middleware, and there is no way you can verify middleware. So it's just basically shift of responsibility. So I would say that there is no good solution.
What about all the behavioral analytics solutions that can sort of detect intent at an early stage? Yep, we have a... Go for it.
So that's actually how it already working. Nobody use LLMs just to detect that something forbidden is happening. Usually there are another system trained, like smaller LLM, that's trained to detect these harmful prompts, etc. So that's actually two parts of solutions. That's how was told that some middleware between large language model and some classifiers that detect is it safe or isn't.
But we're still in the stage of narrow AI.
Yeah, but it's still the situation when you tell that, okay, I have a lock which I don't fully trust. I'm gonna buy another lock which I don't fully trust. I put two these locks on the door and I will trust it.
So you can if it's for yourself, you can use different locks. So you can use OpenAI and before it put, for example, Llama Guard or I forget the model from NVIDIA who doing this security stuff. But also you as a business often want some specific to your business needs, and you know what topics are forbidden for your business. For example, your AI shouldn't do discounts for your customers. I don't know if you heard about this legal stuff, but it's happening. Yeah. And you usually train your... So I can't rely here definitely on some proprietary models. They always will fuck up you, but and you should do your own filtering, etc.
Go ahead.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just like good enough for you. And like good enough for you might be not good enough for me, or it could be good enough for me, but not good enough for a surgeon in a medical center, or not good enough for police. And we are talking about the case like, is there any solution which allow you to put some kind of scale or some kind of certification which will tell you, okay, this is certified that could be used for police. This is certified that it could be used for medical purposes. So we just have different acceptance layers.
So that's the most secure solution, and we do it in my medical company. All of recommendation from AI goes through person, real doctor with medical degree, who validates that it's okay, like, and it's easier than write that text by the doctor itself. And in 98 cases from 100, it's do well. So and it goes as it is.
But we're still bridging the gap between narrow AI and GenAI when we actually can trust AI to make the next step, right? Where the output of one process is an input on independent thought on a completely other. Human in the loop basically is still working as a bridge. So to reiterate Anton's response is that we don't really have a AI solution for security at this moment.
What if your filtering was a break and the human in the loop is convinced that, for example, in hospital, that picture presents it's real, not fake it, or like AI tools are also used now to build proper phishing emails. So how you ensure that this person in the hospital have a look on the real picture, or analysis or something.
So AI hallucinations, basically.
And human in the loop is just inside the risk.
But the hallucinations, I would argue, are quite larger because AI models are actually rewarded by providing you an answer. It does not necessarily say it's a good answer. It's a text predictor still. So it needs to provide you some type of an answer. That's the only way it gets rewarded. Eventually, you'll correct it and will learn things. But nonetheless, its main idea is to provide an answer ASAP. Now, the problem with that is I'm sure some of you have seen that one of the judges in the United States was actually very annoyed by the fact that lawyers started using AI, and that started spitting out cases which simply don't exist. So we don't really have a verifiable way of saying, at this moment, you're starting to hallucinate, and there's a certain percentage. Imagine if you had sort of like a bar, progress bar, that tells you how likely it is that I'm confident that this exists and where I am starting to imagine things.
I wish we had this kind of bar. I would be happy to see this kind of scale, but I never seen it.
Okay, well, go ahead. I think you already earned your...
Yeah, so I see there a problem that I'm facing every day when we're selling our AI solution to our customers. We have a lot of B2B customers, and they always complain about some mistakes that AI doing. But what we count in that humans do more mistakes than AI. And still, our customers want AI models to be ideal, and humans is okay to making errors. And that's the biggest problem of expectation to AI models. And that's what we should to live with, that AI as incompetent as humans.
Sometimes even more competent than humans. Less.
Yeah. So it depends, but in average, AI better than average human. That's what we can rely on, and that's how we show actually for our customers that our AI makes mistakes, but let's look into the real humans. We go through their results and see that like 10 times more errors with 10 times more price.
That's absolutely amazing, but will you be happy if like the car crashed, like people died, but in a court case it will be written like, yeah, but it was still better than usual driver. It's not for every scene. Yes, for some cases it's absolutely amazing. Just a yeah. Okay, amazing. Just let me be like one quick question to you. Poland is about to build nuclear plant. Will you be happy if software for this nuclear plant was written using Copilot?
So if it was done in the way how I wrote my code, where I review
just yes or no.
So if Copilot used in the process, I'm okay with it.
Okay, that's good. Second part, like, will you be okay? It will be if it was agentic software which operates this nuclear plant. Set of agents, like one takes measurements, the other decides, the third one orchestrates and all the stuff. Like, can you accept it, or you would like to have a human in all of it?
I don't agree because so if we're talking about operating a nuclear plant, it's pretty like from the like you can write the direct logic how to operate it. So you shouldn't use AI where you can use just mathematics.
Exactly. So no one size fit all.
Yeah, but let's remember like a few years ago, let's remember about Boeing Max 8, right? No AI used, but still plane crashed.
I want to talk to you as well after this talk. Like I have a lot of information around Boeing stuff. We'll be happy to talk.
We have one more person. Go ahead.
Just a quick note that there are no nuclear disaster in the world that were made by AI, but
are we waiting for one?
But at least one
Yes.
that were made by human in Chernobyl.
Okay, do we have any more questions? So I think we have experts in their field. Would anybody like an AI-related question or maybe a comment on what you've heard so far?
Let's have 3 more questions.
3 more questions.
And the pizza has arrived, guys.
And then we're free to go. Go for it.
If that's nobody has another questions, because that's actually the question that I prepared at the beginning. So I see a lot of using stuff like Firefly and other. And if we're talking about like what you're talking about, like the processes, how we analyze risk, etc. So I doesn't see how using Firefly goes in with that, because like you never know what will be told on the meeting, and it always recording, etc. And I see like the big companies starting using it, and actually I am afraid when I see the Firefly on my meetings.
All right, any more comments or questions? Yeah, I have one more person, 2 people. Go ahead.
I will talk to you after.
I was having a question about security. You were mentioning that privacy is a pain point here, and everything that we have on the market uses human review of every AI conversation. And today while discussing, I haven't heard a solution to that. Someone was saying that you wouldn't trust an AI if it was reviewed by human. So do we have a solution how we can use it safely, and for what topics and for what not?
Unplug your router. I don't know of one. Do we?
I'm very pessimistic about everything which is related to security. Like my main take is that usually, and what Anton told us and proved with numbers, well, like humans, they are the weakest part of every solution. Like it's going to be from 20 cases how things can go south, probably like 17 gonna be human related, and only 3 will be AI related. But still, you try to optimize for what you can optimize. And there is no way you can optimize people. Like millions of years of evolution did. So you try to optimize what you can optimize. You try to optimize for AI output. And how you can optimize it? You either use humans or you either use other solutions. So you try to evaluate one AI by other AI. In this question, in this situation, the question is which AI you trust most. You can try to like feed them one with another and try to evaluate and try to fight for them who is the better one. But it's still like game of trust. There is no one golden standard which will be evaluating others and setting numbers like Pavel showed, like, okay, this is 6 of 10, this is 3 of 10, never use it, this is 11 of 10, go for it. There is no solution for that.
And yesterday you said interesting thing that AI is generally hallucinating all the time. So also answering to your question, AI is built on data blocks and decision paths. So when you ask some question, sometimes based on frameworks built in big players services, they test those logic paths. But mainly AI is hallucinating all the time based on your questions and picking up the best answers to the situation.
It's a text predictor. It doesn't really know what it's doing. It's just predicting text and tries to fit into the best option. Yes, and there is no solution to craft artificial data.
Just small note, LLM basically aim to support conversation. I mean, that's the beginning, and just keep it in mind. That's it. So it's just good as your opponent, as your body, and so on. So not seeking, hey, you give me 100 correct answer.
Yeah, so basically you have a pretty fascinating and pretty amazing prediction machine, which basically, it's not about even conversation, it's about predicting sequence of numbers, which are tokens, basically. So you have a pretty fascinating numbers prediction machines, and we are using it to tell us what to do. So it's like, there is a pretty big gap between predicting numbers and using it to tell us what to do. So yes, it actually hallucinates all the times. And sometimes we tell it, yeah, sounds plausible to me, gonna use it. Sometimes it's like, no, that's total bullshit. Absolutely. Human do the same all the time.
And I think we have last question. I think that's going to be the end of it. Okay, go ahead, this person. You also had one? Okay, so very quickly, let's have your question and one more person.
Hi, so in the recent couple of years, there have been lots of talks that AI eventually or probably could speed up process of cracking cryptographic algorithms that are considered uncrackable as of today due to some sophisticated numerical, like prime numbers, such computation-intensive procedures. But how justified are these threats really? Like, is AI really capable to do that, or is it something that basically out of scope of AI because it's just a probability-based predictor?
If it is, it's perhaps classified.
Okay, we've got one more person. Yeah, go ahead.
So we can achieve AI-powered security system, reliable AI-powered security system, but what about AI-assisted security systems? So we have these incidents and people from first line investigate them and AI just will like start. This can be like a real problem.
Triage.
What do you think about this?
I think I can answer. We already have these solutions. It's sort of like a triage where it basically says this is worth your time because we have an information overload in terms of security alerts that do come into your example system.
But can't it lead to AI will hallucinate and people will investigate only started incident, like highlighted, and they will miss real incident? Can be this problem?
It's very interesting because we're like almost hour deep into discussion and we barely touched regulations part. So the good part is that, for example, in the United States, if you are a public traded company, there are some regulations which will force you to do some kind of like disclosure and proper incident management under 4 days, as far as I remember, maybe 5, something like that. So you will be forced to do so. Some of the people, and some of the companies, nice ones, they voluntarily will do so. They will do proper post-mortem, they will deep inside and all the stuff. But like AI is difficult part because you cannot backtrace. If you are looking into usual incident, you can go through logs, you can use trace ID, you can go through audit part. With AI, you got some input, you got some output. Shit happened. How you can backtrace it? It's significantly much more complex and complicated than usual incident management. So I don't know. I'm afraid as fuck of usage of AI currently. Honestly, like I'm very happy that big enterprises and companies from Fortune 500s they are like very low in AI adoption at the moment.
All right, I think that's going to conclude our session for today. Guys and girls, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure having you here. With us was Andrei, Dima, and Pavel, and I'm Pavel Hushka. Thank you very much, and we'll see you around.
Guys, let's have just a quick 10 minutes break and get back to the audience. Grab some pizza. we're having the last session, and even though the day was quite intense, I encourage you uh, to to keep diving into the topic. And after the meetup, grab speakers, talk to them, join, ask the questions, and join the after party. And that's pretty much it. I invite on the stage Adrian. He will introduce himself. Let's clap for him.
Thanks, Kate. So welcome everyone. I am Adrian. I am AI software evangelist at Intel. And usually I prefer to do the presentation first, but I'm super glad that I already saw that Shai already presented so many great Gemini features. I bet all of them run in cloud. And I am even happier when I heard from this audience during the panel that there will be a guy talking about local inference. Yeah, it's me. Exactly. So super cool to be here and to present something what I would like to present. But maybe let's start with the question. How many of you, please raise your hand, already think that to run GenAI, you must use cloud? Okay, just a few people. That's good. That's good. How many of you think that this device I have in front of me is absolutely enough to run GenAI? It's a laptop. Yes, but I can see more hands. However, some of you are already not convinced, and I hope I will convince you by the end of this talk. Cool. So let's start. First, what AI use cases we have when we talk about AI applications? When we want to do post estimation, sometimes we want to do denoising, depth estimation, code writing, chatbots, text to image, and many, many more. And we divide them into two groups, conventional AI and generative AI. And you know why? Because there are quite significant differences. Like in conventional AI, the output is predicted from the input and the model. So if you use the same model and the same input, the output will be exactly the same. This is completely different in generative AI when the generated content is absolutely unique. It's text, it's music, it's image, it's video, whatever you want, right? And if we compare the model size between conventional AI, like from 1,000 to hundreds of millions of parameters in case of conventional AI, to single-digit billion or trillions of parameters in GenAI, it means that probably for GenAI, we need more resources. Of course, we already know that we can run simple computer vision algorithm models on a laptop, right? Probably on discrete GPU card or so. But for GenAI, is it enough? We will see. User instructions, of course, conventional AI is good for long background tasks. You need to detect some people. It's running constantly in the background, getting frame from your webcam, and then delivering results as soon as possible. So of course, low latency is needed here. In case of GenAI, of course, user usually interacts with the model asking for something. Generate me an image, answer this question, and so on and so forth. And in that case, we can wait a little bit more, right? It doesn't have to be 30 sentences per second. We can wait 5 seconds for the answer or so. And okay, and I'm going to show you that this device can run GenAI. And I will do live demo because I can claim anything here, but I will show you that. So the question is, what is that laptop then? And we call it AI PC. And what is AI PC? It's any PC that can run AI workloads. And this specific one consists of 3 engines. It's CPU for fast response for low latency workloads. There is also GPU for high throughput, like heavy computations. And there is NPU to save your battery life. And the question is, how big that chip must be to have all of these devices? And the answer is here. I have it here. It's that size. It's CPU, GPU, and NPU integrated on one chip on this size. And exactly that one is inside my laptop. If you would like to see it later, please come to me. I will have it with me. OK, and so if we look at our client AI use cases I presented before, we can say that for depth estimation, we can use NPU, for example. For depth estimation, we can also use CPU. For chatbots, it's OK to use GPU, probably because it requires more computations, and so on and so forth. So this is hardware only. But hardware is halfway. We need also software. And for software stack here, we use OpenVINO, which is an open source toolkit for optimizing and deploying AI inference. And OpenVINO started as a open visual inference and neural network optimization. But it's no longer for computer vision only. It's also right now for NLP, audio, large language models, generative AI, transformers, whatever you want. So if you have your model in one of these frameworks, PyTorch, TensorFlow, Keras, TensorFlow Lite, ONNX, JAX, or Paddle, you can convert it to OpenVINO and deploy on a variety of Intel hardware plus ARM. We also support ARM officially, and it runs on any operating system. And to make a disclaimer here, OpenVINO is for inference only, so it's not for training. If you would like to train, use still TensorFlow, use PyTorch, use whatever you want. But for inference, when you have your model already pre-trained or trained by yourself, you can convert it to OpenVINO to have great performance. And there are many ways to use OpenVINO. You can, of course, use OpenVINO, pure OpenVINO code in C++ or Python. But if you are more into PyTorch, for example, you can use a torch compile function, which was introduced in PyTorch 2.0. Then you specify OpenVINO as backend. In Keras, starting from Keras 3.8, why it's not visible? Oh, it stopped working. In Keras, you need to specify OS environment variable to specify OpenVINO as backend. In ONNX, we provide OpenVINO execution provider. And for generative AI, how many of you are familiar with diffusers or transformers from Hugging Face? Some people. They are very convenient, right? The very convenient API to do the inference. And you know what? We combined the convenience of Hugging Face with the efficiency of OpenVINO, and we created Optimum Intel. So if you are familiar with diffusers or transformers, then you can install Optimum Intel, and you can use almost exactly the same code as you used before. So what you need to do is just to change the class you use. So instead of auto-model for casual LM from transformers, you use OpenVINO model for casual LM from Optimum Intel. And then, of course, you import auto tokenizer pipeline. You specify the model you would like to use. You need to use the class you already imported. You load the tokenizer, create the pipeline, and run the inference. So just 2 lines of code to change to use OpenVINO as a backend, but the same API as you use in transformers or diffusers, of course. And that's not all, because I would like to right now step into OpenVINO GenAI. And if Optimum Intel is a right way to use a very convenient API, and you can use OpenVINO as a backend, the question is, why do we need another package? OpenVINO GenAI is another package. And I will answer that in a moment. So in OpenVINO GenAI, we support many different pipelines, like large language models pipelines, text to image, image to image, Whisper for speech to text, and visual language models as well. So what you need to do to use any of these pipelines, you just need to provide a model in OpenVINO format, and you need to use your application. I mean, your application must use OpenVINO GenAI. And the question is how to provide the model then in OpenVINO format. And there are many ways to do so. Some already pre-converted models are available on Hugging Face. We uploaded them there, so you can just download it from Hugging Face, or you can go and use Optimum CLI to convert them from other formats like PyTorch. So how to do it? Two different stages in OpenVINO GenAI model workflow. First, download and convert the model. For example, if the model is already pre-converted on Hugging Face, you just download it using Hugging Face CLI. If the model is not pre-converted, you just use Optimum CLI when you specify additional parameter, export to OpenVINO. And you use, for example, Llama 2, Llama 3, DeepSeek, whatever you want to use. Model scope, also available, download the model, and similar here with some additional parameters like specifying the task it will run for. Please note that we also have some quantization here. When we use Optimum CLI in the second and for command, you can see that weight format is int4. So what we do additionally, we do the quantization to int4 to have even better performance, of course, and to have less memory footprint. So this is the first stage. You prepared the model to run with OpenVINO GenAI pipelines. And now, how to run the deployment stage. We provide API for Python and C++. OpenVINO GenAI is written in C++ and has Python wrappers. That's why we can use both APIs of languages. And just it, 3 lines of code to run the large language model pipeline. Import OpenVINO GenAI, create the pipeline, and run the inference. Similar for C++. Of course, C++ is more descriptive language. That's why you need to write, I don't know, 7 lines of code or so. But it's exactly the same. Import, include, create the pipeline, and run the inference. And once again, the supported scenarios in OpenVINO GenAI. Text generation using large language models, but also small language models, right? Llama, Mistral, Phi, Qwen, many more. Image generation with diffusers like LCM, Stable Diffusion, Flux, and so on and so forth. Speech transcription and translation, Whisper, Distill Whisper, and visual language models, Lava, Mini, CPMV, and some more. And where to find it? Where to find this OpenVINO GenAI? It's open source, once again, on GitHub. But I bet many of you here are Python developers. So for you, the easiest way is, of course, using pip. Pip install OpenVINO GenAI. And then you can use these 3 lines of code to run the image generation or text generation. OK, let's go back to the question I asked before. If there is optimum Intel approach with the great combination of Hugging Face API, convenient API with OpenVINO's backend, why do we need OpenVINO GenAI? And because of this. So these are, this is the snippet in OpenVINO Optimum, in Optimum Intel to generate some text compared to OpenVINO GenAI. So for example, if you don't want to write so many lines of code, it's the same approach as in transformers, right? We just changed the class from transformers to Optimum Intel. But the approach is exactly the same. Here, 3 lines of code. And the second, a very important thing. At OpenVINO, at Optimum Intel, we rely on transformers and diffusers. And they depend on other libraries. So overall, when we install all of them, it looks like this. There are so many dependencies that they take more than 2 gigabytes on your disk. Of course, you must download these 2 gigabytes. It's OK when you are here, like high-speed internet connection. But what about if there is edge device connected somewhere in the forest or something, right? To download all the models, for example, all the dependencies to run it. What if you use edge device when you don't have so much disk space? Well, we think that it also solves the problem here. You just need to download a few packages. OpenVINO GenAI relies on OpenVINO. There is also OpenVINO tokenizers, which is required for chatbots, and additionally NumPy. That's it, right? Telemetry is, let's say, optional. And let's look how to run, once again, text generation. I already presented that, but you will see the GIF here. This is running these 3 lines of code, right? So it's, you start asking the question, what is OpenVINO? And suddenly it appears like token by token in your terminal. Then text-to-image generation. Once again, on GIF, you can see that from prompt to the image, and in code, almost the same 3 lines of code, just changing LLM pipeline to text-to-image pipeline. C++, similar thing. Then speech transcription translation with Whisper, very, very similar, just additional line of code to load the audio and to use Whisper pipeline. And visual language models, once again, very, very similar. VLM pipeline, provide some images, provide prompts, and you will get the answer like here. But this is theory, let's say. I'm just saying something, right? Let's see it running live. Where is my mouse? Always difficult to find it on 3 monitors. You know that. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe let me do this. I already prepared 2 demos. First, one of my favorite, it's called Paint Your Dreams. It will be image generation from text. Okay, so here is the prompt, a sailboat on a grass field with mountains in the morning and sunny day. I have 3 devices here, as I already mentioned, CPU, GPU, NPU, all of them on this chip. I'm going to present all of them here for you. Let's start with CPU. This will be the slowest option, I promise you that. When we're running the first inference, it's always a little bit slower. You already know that first token is slower than the next token and so on and so forth, right? Similar here. The first inference, we need to load the model, we need to load the data and everything like that, allocate memory. That's why it will be a little bit slower. So I expect 20-something seconds, 24 seconds CPU. Okay, it's not great, not so great, right? 24 seconds, okay, I can wait, but still not so great. Let's switch to GPU. And once again, it's an integrated GPU. There is no discrete GPU card. Let's run it for the first time. For the first time, we rely on OpenCL, so we need to compile OpenCL kernels and everything like that. So it will take 9 seconds. Okay, let's try it again. 0.7. And you know what? I'm gonna click this, and you will see every less than a second you will see a new image. I'm running on this device. I can disconnect from internet connection, and it will still run because it's a local inference. So I think it's a super nice thing, right? Every less than a second, a new image. I think quite good performance. Okay, let's go also for NPU. You will see that. And by the way, I should show you that. One moment then. Let's try. Exactly, this is what I wanted to show you. Okay, it shouldn't be 3D, it's compute engine here. So right now, you can see the GPU is heavily used. CPU is not 100%, it's just 30%. And when I stop here and I show you CPU, you will see the difference. So right now, you see CPU 100%. It's fully used for this generation, and GPU, it's idle. So yeah, this is the difference, and you can see we are still waiting for the result. Right, CPU is quite slow, but this is by default. Okay, let's stop it. And there is one more, NPU. It's neural processing unit. I didn't mention that before, but it's neural processing unit designed for AI inference only, nothing else. GPU, of course, you can use to render graphics and everything like that. NPU for AI inference only. Okay, let's run on NPU. Still not stopped. Come on, I click stop. Okay, let me uncheck this first. Still running CPU. We need to wait for this iteration to end. Okay, cool. NPU. It won't be so performant as GPU, but it will be much better than CPU. And at the same time, you don't use GPU, so GPU can be used for another model, for example, which require even more resources. CPU is idle, let's say 10% or something. The only problem right now is that the compilation time for the NPU for the first time is super slow, really. This is something I am really annoyed, and I complain at company a lot about that. It will take about 100 seconds to compile for NPU, but this is only for the first inference. The next inference will be much, much faster. So, okay, let's wait. I think we still have time, so no problem. And task manager, yes, let's go back to task manager. We will see GPU is idle, 4%, 3%, something like that. Compute is absolutely 0%. CPU right now is 40%. Of course, we are compiling this on CPU, I think, before we schedule on NPU. NPU for now it's idle, but we will see that in a moment that it will use NPU. And this is low power device, NPU. So if you compare to GPU, CPU, it's not like that it's a rocket science thing that it will take just 1 watt or something. No, it will be just less than GPU. So let's say if GPU takes 20 watts, NPU would take 15 watts, right? So it will save battery for longer. Once again, running AI inference. Okay, we are approaching 100 seconds, so I think we should be ready to get the result. Yes. For anything which runs on NPU for the first time. Sorry? Like first inference, when you load model to memory, the first inference. Yes. When we load it here, even click stop generation, go to CPU, GPU, the model is already loaded to memory, and it will be available. I didn't expect so long. Okay, no worries. Meanwhile, I will tell you that this demo I'm showing you here, and the next demo I will show, everything here is open source. If you would like to try at home, it's licensed under Apache 2.0. This is the repository which is hosting these demos. So it's called OpenVINO Build Deploy. I can make it a little bit bigger. And the demos are in demos directory. If you go here, then paint your dreams, and you have the instruction how to set up anything here. It's in Python, right? So if you are familiar in Python, you should be able to run it. And then you can run on your computer locally, and you can check how fast it is. Of course, I have one of the latest Intel CPUs, but it's not like we support only this one. You can always use anything which is older. Of course, it will be slower, right? Maybe not second, maybe 5 seconds, maybe 8 seconds, but it will work. So yeah, this is the repository, Paint Your Dreams demo, and let's quickly check if it was already generated. Okay, 170 seconds. Who can afford that? But yeah, the second generation, 1.5. Quite good, right? And let's see. Sorry. You can see how much memory we took here. We are using 24 gigabytes overall, the entire system and this application from 32 gigabytes. And this model wasn't quantized. This is floating point 16 model. And if you use NPU or integrated GPU, you always can take up to half of the system memory. So you are not limited. Like when you have discrete GPU card, if there is 8 gigabytes, you can only use 8 gigabytes. But if you have a computer with 64 gigabytes, 32 gigabytes will be always available for GPU or NPU. And you can see NPU is quite heavily used right now. Shared memory. This is the memory available for NPU. This is half of the system memory here. Okay, cool. But let's have some fun also. So I'm switched to image for a moment. Let me go and select GPU. I'm gonna take a photo of myself just for fun. Okay. Cool. And let's try to make me a portrait of Valkyrie. Cool. And start generation. Once again, this is image-to-image pipeline, another pipeline. So we need to load it to memory first. That means it will be 10 seconds or so for the first inference. Then it will be much faster, of course. And it looks like this. It's me? Yeah, the colors are okay, right? Don't worry, we can make it better. So there is a parameter input image influence trend. If I go higher here, it will be more me, less Valkyrie. If I go less, it will be more. You see that? What I like here, I'm going to show you that, because when I click a sailboat on a grass field with mountains, and I use my image as an input, okay, I can have it in the background. Let me check if I can change this. Maybe how to do that. Let's take another image then, and because I would like to show you something which is super fun. I try to take photo without us. Yeah, I would like to get rid of this thing. Maybe you may be right, of course. Cool. Okay, and right now I'm going to generate a sailboat on a grass field and so on. So let me reset this first. You see that? Okay, a little bit higher maybe. Look at the colors. All the colors are in place. Like, you know, there is even my face. It's trying to make some. There are mountains in the background, so it's mountains, right? So it's trying to generate mountains here. For example, this, and there is boat here. You can see that. Funny thing, you can also go for in painting pipeline. So we can say that I'm going to remove my face here. And let's go back to this Valkyrie and start generation again. So nothing will be touched unless the place I removed from the area I removed from the picture. And like this. So you can see anything else is exactly the same, like this light in the background, my turtleneck sweater and everything that, but the face has changed. Okay, that's some fun we had. And let me switch to another demo because that's visual GenAI. Meanwhile, I will start another one. So I'm going to kill that one, and I'm going to start another one. Another one. It will run chatbot. It will be a chatbot with RAG pipeline. Okay, so right now it's loading. We will use 3 different models. Because it's RAG pipeline, we will use embedding model, which will be scheduled on NPU. We will use re-ranker model, which will be scheduled on CPU, and chatbot model, in this case, Llama 3.2, 3 billion on GPU. So I'm using all the devices I have here because I have 3 different models in RAG pipeline. Okay, I'm going to refresh. I have another Ingradio interface here. And this is a chatbot working as a healthcare assistant. So it's saying, good morning, afternoon, welcome to our medical facility. My name is Adrishu, and so on and so forth. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to upload here the sample patient record, which is, of course, in the repository as well. So what's inside? There are a few diagnoses that I had: hypertension, type 2 diabetes, chronic back pain, with some additional comments, for example. And I uploaded it here, and here I start talking to it, but I am feeling bad. You can see performance here. We are running on integrated GPU, so we have 33 tokens per second. It's much, much more that we can even read at. And it's saying, can you please tell me more about what's causing you to feel bad, physical sensation? Let's say I have high fever, 37 degrees. You know, for men, it's like dying. That's why. How long have you had a fever of 37 degrees? When did it start? Yesterday. Help me. I cannot provide medical advice. It was prompted not to provide a medical advice, just to get all the details, symptoms, and so on. But of course, you know, this is a playground. We are talking about, we are using healthcare assistant. But we can change the prompt. It can be a tutor. It can be a bartender. It can be a hotel concierge, whatever you want. What I wanted to show you here is performance, right? 34 tokens per second. Usual human can read about 7 to 9 tokens per second. It's like 5 to 7 words per second, exactly. So it's much, much more than anyone can read, right, here. So it's absolutely running here on this local device. And I hope I already proved you that even that laptop is absolutely capable to run GenAI. Of course, this model is not like 300 billions of parameters. But the question is, do we need that? 3 billion of parameters, and it's quite accurate. Is it, I would say, even very accurate. Let's go for the summarization phase. So you will see that I didn't mention anything about hypertension, diabetes, chronic back pain. It will be included in the summary. You can see that the patient has a history of hypertension. The patient has type 2 diabetes. The patient experienced chronic back pain with pain level 5 of 10, and the patient has a fever of 37 degrees, which started yesterday. So it took everything into account because it's a RAG pipeline. And once again, it's available in the repository in virtual AI assistant directory. And we provide already not only healthcare personality, but we provide also other personalities like tutor or bartender or agribot or anything like that. If you would like to use that, you can even create your own personality, because what you need to do is to fill this YAML file. When you specify the system configuration, like you are Stefan, a tutor who, when it makes sense, responds in the style of Socrates, you never provide direct answer, but always help the student think independently, and so on and so forth. You just need to fill that template, and then you will have your own assistant. Okay, cool. This is what I wanted to show you today. Let me switch back to my presentation. And these are the QR codes. If you would prefer not to search anything in Google or anything like that, scan these QR codes. There are even more demos in this repository. There is conventional AI as well, people counter, for example, using YOLO 11 models to count people. And of course, you can use NPU, GPU, CPU, whatever you want. And there is also pose estimation with, once again, YOLO 11 pose model. So there are more demos than that. I recommend you try at home and see what performance you can have on your local machine. And yeah, I can see that people are still taking photos. Okay. And so, yeah, I already mentioned that there are more demos in the repository. This QR code is the, like the main directory in the repository. And you can try run on CPU, GPU. Probably you have already GPU. Like most of Intel CPUs have already integrated GPU, especially those in laptops, right? If you have a PC, desktop PC, sometimes you can buy the version without GPU, but it's very rare case. NPU, for NPU, you need to have Intel Core Ultra Series 1 or Series 2. So this is one of our latest processors. We released the first version one and a half year ago. So then NPU is available. And I hope I already proved that you can use your own laptop and you can mitigate any problems with internet connection, with privacy, anything like that, because you can run local inference. So if you have any questions, I can answer them now. But of course, after this talk, please connect to me on LinkedIn. This is the QR code to LinkedIn. And then if you have any other questions, I will be happy to answer them. How much is the price? It depends on the specific, this specific one. It's about 6,000 zlotys, this one. It's still affordable. It's not the low end, of course, but I think it's still affordable.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was the most interactive one of the previous. And I think that I have a question what is the most interesting for all of us. How will the productivity be degraded on AMD and Apple Silicon chips?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. This is a good question. Many people ask that. We officially support ARM. But when we support ARM, only we support ARM CPU. So if you have M1, M2, M something, whatever, and there is GPU integrated one, we don't support that, unfortunately. So for ARM CPU, the performance, difficult to say. I tested that, it works, right? It's a little bit different, but we need to compare the full specs. I wouldn't say that we do it like we try to slow down on ARM or something. We don't do that. So if you feel that it's too slow because of some bug, please report that and we will fix that. In case of AMD, we don't support AMD officially, but it's the same architecture. If we talk about x64, x86, it's the same architecture. So there is the what's the name for that? Specification for the instruction set which the processor should support, right? So they should have the same instruction set, so it should work. I cannot guarantee that. I cannot say what performance will be, but at least it should work because of the same instruction set, because of the same architecture. What about mobiles? I haven't tested that, unfortunately, but you probably referred to ARM in Android, right? Haven't tested, difficult to say, yeah.
I have one more question. How will this system work if we have laptop with Intel integrated graphics and discrete NVIDIA GPU?
So OpenVINO will detect only Intel hardware plus ARM. So NVIDIA GPU won't be detected here. So you need to decide, of course, if you have NVIDIA GPU, Intel CPU, you need to decide if you would like to use NVIDIA GPU and drain a lot of power, because we know that already, right? But you can also go for Intel and take less power, probably a little bit less performance, but maybe at least good enough to sacrifice that, right?
So you mentioned quantization in force. So how much does the precision suffer? Do you have any reliable benchmarks and some reference models?
Okay, the question. So usually we quantize most model to int8, and the accuracy drop is really minimal. I tested it myself many times, and I used that many times, and the quantization to int8 is minimal, the accuracy drop. For quantization to int4, we cannot quantize all layers. It won't work. Some of them are so sensitive that they must at least stay at int8 precision. So what we usually do, let me think if I have, yeah, I think I can show you the real code here, what we do in this case. Let's go back to, it can be even virtual AI system. So if we go to chat model, you can see that this is a, I hope you can see that, by the way. Yeah, so we specified that we would like to quantize to 4 bits, but the ratio is only 80%. So 80% of least sensitive layers will be quantized to int4, and the remaining 20% will still be quantized to int8. And you ask about also if we measure the accuracy and drop and everything like that. We measure. I am not sure if they are public data, but you should be sure that if you take any model from Hugging Face, OpenVINO, any of these pre-converted already and uploaded models from us, here, for example, for, let's look for some LLMs, that they are quantized in the best possible way. So we tested many different configurations and we quantized that as good as we could.
Adrian, thank you for the wonderful presentation. It was really informative. I just wanted to ask a question. That's probably the easiest one to answer, but I wanted to confirm. You mentioned that you're running this on a machine that 50% of your memory can be allocated towards the OpenVINO, right? And you're running OpenVINO with 24 gigs of RAM. That means minimal specs to run that is 48?
No. My spec is 32. So yeah, there was also, I think, the question at the beginning about the specs. So you can see the specs here. So this is Intel Core Ultra 7 258V. It's a Lunar Lake code name. The memory I have is 32 gigabytes, and there is some swap. On Windows, I don't use it. I don't set up it, the swap. So it's it's set up by Windows itself. So probably there is some swap to use that. And when we talked about GPU and NPU, they can use half of the memory. You can see here, shared memory up to 18 gigabytes. And we are not, I think we are not running, or we are running. Let me kill the virtual AI assistant as well. So we'll see how much memory we use already just for system, right? Yeah, so for system, we use 6 gigabytes. So the remaining 18 gigabytes is for OpenVINO and inference here.
Okay, right. Thank you very much.
So thanks. And I have a question. I played with Visual LM Studio, and it can load some models to GPU both and memory. Can you offer something like this?
You mean Visual?
LM Studio, I don't know. So you can load your model locally.
Yeah, and sorry, once again, the question?
It can load model both to GPU memory and in RAM.
Okay, I know what you mean then. You mean something like hetero execution, like some of part of the model is on GPU, part of the model is on CPU. It's possible. I didn't use it much. Where is my mouse again? Here. I didn't use it much, but if we go for OpenVINO docs, hetero, how to write that? How to spell it? Hetero execution, let's say. Yeah, you can find it here, and you can specify that some operations run on GPUs, on CPU. You can also go to the automatic mode when you specify that you would like to use GPU and CPU, and the split will be done automatically. The last one, okay.
Hello, thanks for this information. My question is, let's say we have such machine, but it's not enough for us, and we want to have, I don't know, something like, we want to scale and have something like cluster of these machines. Is it possible? And how it could be scaled? Thank you.
Yeah, so because I'm presenting here on laptop, it doesn't mean we support laptops only. It can also run in Xeon server. Xeon, let me go back to one of the slides I had at the beginning and show it here. I wanted to show this. then I will explain. So you can see all of the supported hardware here. This is for client CPUs. This is a data center GPU, so it will run on server. This is data center CPU again. This is for clients. This is for clients. This is ARM, of course. This is for clients. This is server CPU, again, clients and Edge AI. So we also support any Intel hardware here with OpenVINO. And I have access to Xeon servers. If we had more time, I would show you that. I can connect to Xeon and I can run inference there. And it will use Xeon CPU or Flex Max GPUs.
Thank you so much. Let's clap for Adrian. So guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight's TechSpot. I will send you all tomorrow morning the emails with the request to leave us the feedback. We'll drop you a link to all the photos, all the recordings. And now I'm here to officially close the event and invite those for to after party. And we still have like 5 minutes to network, but probably outside of the Google campus because people are asking us to leave now.
Immediately.
Immediately. Adrian is still having his invitations. So
yeah, people who ask questions, please come to me. I will give you those.
approach him. And we meet outside of the Google campus. Thank you so much.